Are big changes coming to the New York Giants roster as we are 6 days out from NFL free agency? We got to talk about that on today's show, but I got to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel because when the Giants make a move, we are going to make a video. Don't miss out on a thing this offseason. Hit that big red subscribe button and join us on Monday for our live coverage of NFL free agency. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Jordan Renan, Giants beat writer for ESPN, went on the Giants Nation show hosted by Bobby Skinner and said, the Giants, they are really going to reshape this roster. We're going to get probably shocked by some of the things that happen here. And I think we've all kind of thought that the New York Giants are going to make major changes to this roster, but now as we're 6 days away, it seems like John Harbaugh has even more say-so when it comes to football operations than maybe we initially thought. It's starting to become a reality that this football team is going to get built in the John Harbaugh image. So on today's show, I'm going to go over 7 things that we are hearing, that others are reporting, that I think could change for the New York Giants. And I think first and foremost, Thibodeaux has likely played his last game as a New York Giant. We've done multiple videos about Kayvon over the last week, and multiple different Giants beat reporters have made predictions that he is not going to be on this team come week 1. Look, I like Kayvon, and at 25 years old, and him being a first-round pick, number 5 overall, I would like to keep him on this football team. But when you kind of peel back the curtains and you think of what the Giants can get and what happens if they do trade him, but most importantly, if there is a long-term future here with him, with Brian Burns and Abdul Carter being on the team, it just seems like the smart thing to do is to move on from him. Right now, the New York Giants have just $2.7 million in cap space. If they were to trade Thibodeaux, they save $14.7 million on the cap. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2, you could potentially get a 4th-round pick back. And I know people are going to be like, Marshall, a 4th-round pick is nothing. And in a vacuum, yes, I think Kayvon is worth much more than a 4th-round pick. But would you rather have Thibodeaux on a 5th-year option with him being unlikely to sign an extension to stay here into the future? Or would you rather have a 4th-round pick and $14.7 million on this team? I'm just not sure that Kayvon has a future here. Are the Giants going to give him an extension off this offseason? It doesn't sound like that. Are the Giants going to give him an extension after next season? I don't think so. And I don't want to get into a bidding war in free agency. Yeah, I like a 2nd-round pick. Yeah, I'd like a 3rd-round pick. But the cap relief is a major reason I'm willing to trade him. And then if you get a 3rd or a 4th-round pick, that's just gravy on top. I also think we're going to see some surprising cap cut casualties for the New York Giants. It's been reported that Bobby Okereke is going to get cut, and I don't think that that's a surprise cut anymore at this point. But do not be shocked if the New York Giants move on from John Runyan in NFL free agency. If they cut him, they save $9.2 million. And John Harbaugh wants to create a ground and pound offense. John Runyan is someone that is not considered a ground and pound left guard. I like John Runyan. I don't love him. He's played solid as a Giant, but I think Harbaugh could look at this and say, we saved $9.2 million and we go and get a new left guard. Before we continue on with this video, here's what I'm looking to trade on Polymarket. For Wednesday's Knicks game, Polymarket is giving New York a 39% chance to beat OKC, which is wild. The value there is way too good. The Knicks are playing good hoops, and they're coming off a big-time win from this past Sunday against the Spurs. For those reasons, I'm taking New York at 39% to win this game. $100 wins you $256 if New York takes the dub. Plus, with Polymarket, you can trade in and out on momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once the Knicks get up, I can either ride it all the way out or I could sell early. For example, if you buy at 39% and sell at just 60%, you can snag a cool $154 payout. I'll be keeping my eye on how the Knicks come out of the gates and how they play in the first quarter of this matchup. You can't do this with a traditional sports book, so get started today. Polymarket is legal in all 50 states. Download the app now to get to the top of the wait list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments. I also think the Giants could have a completely new look at that inside linebacker room. We've already talked about Bobby Okereke being cut, but I think the Giants are going to make a strong effort to rehaul that depth chart. Paul Schwartz of the New York Post is reporting, I believe that John Harbaugh wants to completely revamp the linebacker room. That'll start with Bobby Okereke being cut. You save that $9 million. Micah McFadden is going to be a free agent as well, which means you only have Darius Muasau and Chris Board on this roster. Chris Board's going to get cut. You're going to save $2 million there. So you just have Darius Muasau on this roster, and I don't really expect for Harbaugh to pencil in Muasau even as someone that's going to make the 53-man roster when we get to roster cut-down day after the final week of the preseason. I even think the Giants could double down at that inside linebacker room, making a major investment in NFL free agency, someone to wear that green dot, someone to be that Mike linebacker and the captain of this defense, and then potentially take Sonny Styles at number 5, or make a major draft pick at number 37 at that inside linebacker room. Don't be shocked if the Giants throw multiple darts at the dartboard when it comes to the inside linebacker room in free agency, in the NFL draft, and maybe even in the trade market. We've heard some buzz about a potential Thibodeaux trade where he goes to Chicago and Chicago sends Tremaine Edmonds to the New York Football Giants. I think at this point, Wan'Dale Robinson is also going to be gone, and he will not be returning as a New York Giant, which is disappointing. And one thing that I think Joe Schoen has learned from is you have to draft the best players, not the players that best fit a coach's scheme. Wan'Dale Robinson was a Brian Daboll pick. He's a head coach that places a huge importance on the slot wide receiver position. And we have quotes coming up on today's show from John Harbaugh on the slot receiver position, but I just don't see the Giants making as good of an offer as it's going to take to keep Wan'Dale. Shout out to my guy Jimmy on Twitter. Go give him a follow. He does an awesome job aggregating Giants news. He quoted Paul Schwartz saying, I think the Giants will be willing to pay $13 to $14 million per year for Wan'Dale Robinson, but if it gets to $16 to $18 million per year, they will likely say goodbye. And I don't think they'll say goodbye because they don't value that position. I'm not sure that he is the perfect fit for John Harbaugh, Matt Nagy, Greg Roman, and Callahan's offense. John Harbaugh said this to me at the NFL Scouting Combine when it comes to slot receivers. He said, look, we like them. We're in favor of slot receivers. We like those guys. To me, it doesn't really matter, what type of slot receiver you have. You just need a good one. Like Cooper Kupp, he does it his way. Edelman, he did it his way. Zay Flowers does it his way. Sometimes you're inside, sometimes you're outside, sometimes it's a tight end. I think of Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews in the slot. And I kind of focus on that last thing. Sometimes it's a tight end. I think of Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews. I think the Giants are going to operate with more tight ends on the field, even more so than they did last year where the Giants were close to the top of the league and running out of 12 and 13 personnel. But I think that's going to be an even more of a personnel groupings package that they lean on. Jimmy also quoting Paul Schwartz saying that he was told that a small slot receiver in Matt Nagy's offense will not be prioritized. So I don't think Wan'Dale's coming back. I think you're going to have a new slot receiver, and don't be surprised if it's a tight end like Isaiah Likely or somebody else, maybe a Chigakongwu coming out of Tennessee. Maybe if the Pittsburgh Steelers move on from Jonnu Smith, that could be him as well. Expect for a new look at the wide receiver position as well, and I think you're going to see a new RB1 on this football team as well. At this point, we cannot ignore all the smoke that is surrounding Kenneth Walker and the New York Giants. Multiple Giants beat reporters have reported on this, Jordan Renan being the first one back on February 27th, saying something you hear about the Giants at the Combine. They're seriously looking at some of the top running backs, both in the draft and free agency. Players like Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love, Travis Etienne, and Kenneth Walker. There seems to be a clear focus on becoming a more physical, run-heavy team. Matthew Berry reporting this. Perhaps the most surprising running back rumor I heard was Kenneth Walker to the Giants. Doesn't mean he's definitely going there, but the Giants are very interested in him. And it's not just Jordan Renan, and it's not just Matthew Berry. Like every single person that covers the Giants and even people that cover the NFL at large, Jeremy Fowler said it on ESPN, keep your eyes on Kenneth Walker going to the Giants. And even if it's not K9 becoming a Giant, maybe it's Travis Etienne, maybe it's somebody else. The Giants are going to place, I think, an importance on building that running back room. If it's Kenneth Walker, look, at 25 years old, a guy that was just the Super Bowl MVP, the guy that tilted that game in the favor of the Seahawks, you could do a lot worse than that. Would I like the Giants to spend bigger money at right guard than running back? Yeah. But, man, Kenneth Walker is a good player. He runs hard. He has had some injury issues in the past, but he breaks a lot of tackles, and he would give you a backfield with Walker, Scadaboo, and Tracy that you could run your offense through. I've also heard, and I'm sure you guys have heard, there's legit interest in the Giants when it comes to Jeremiah Love. And Jeremiah Love told me when I asked him at the Combine, he said, I'd love to be a Giant. Hopefully they take me, and hopefully they pick me. Look, I don't know if it's because last night I went and watched every single touch that Jeremiah Love had last year, but I don't hate the idea of the Giants' future backfield being Jeremiah Love and Cam Scadaboo. Didn't we just see the Detroit Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for the last 3 years be a smash-mouth football team? Like, David Montgomery had more than 500 carries in the last 3 years. You need two good running backs, and especially with the physical nature that Scadaboo plays with, on top of coming off a major injury, like, I believe in Scadaboo. I think he'd be an RB1, but there has to be a little bit of hesitation there considering the injury, the play style, and Jeremiah Love gives you another weapon, a home run hitting back that's not Scadaboo. I think that'd be a good yin and yang, not to the degree of Ahmad Bradshaw or Brandon Jacobs, but Giants fans should know that you can have a good stable of running backs. Jimmy also quoting Paul Schwartz here, saying Paul Schwartz believes the Giants will have a new punter and a new kicker next year. Quote, I believe there will be a new punter and kicker. Will that kicker be Ben Sauls? I hope so. I thought he did a good job. And I am A-okay with them moving on from Jamie Gillen as well. Too many times he's kicking from around the 50-yard line, and he puts it in the end zone. That just can't happen, especially with John Harbaugh being a special teams guy. He's going to place an importance on field position and flipping the field in the punt game. I think we could see a new punter. Jimmy also quoting Paul Schwartz here, saying John Harbaugh believes that Tyler Nubin is more of a box defender. Does that mean the Giants need a new free safety to go, or new strong safety, whichever one you want to say he is, next to Javon Holland? Will that be Caleb Downs? Will the Giants go pay a free agent safety? Will they make a trade for one? I think it's interesting that Harbaugh says that about Nubin, and it's not hard when you watch the tape. I just don't think he has the necessary athleticism to play sideline to sideline in the back half of a defense. Harbaugh is going to build this team in his image, in the way that he wants a football team to be run. That is physical. That is someone in a team that dominates the line of scrimmage. He is going to build this team inside out. A priority on the offensive line, a priority on the defensive line. Being able to run the ball, being able to stop the run, getting back to the basics. Winning football games, it's the same now that it was 30 years ago. You run the ball, you stop the run, you dominate in the trenches, you are always going to give yourself a shot to win games. And John Harbaugh, I think he's going to do that exact same thing with the New York Football Giants. Make sure you are following me on social media, because anytime the Giants make a move, we're going to break it down this channel. But the first spot you'll hear about is on my Twitter and Instagram. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.